What's up, guys? I'm here with Hash, and we're going to be commentating round 6 of the Hell Tournament series. Right now, we got Tristan and AA5, which is AA551, which is going to be Chunky Boy. And I don't know too much about what AA is playing, but I do know a little bit about what Tristan's playing. What do you think about this matchup, Hash?
Well, I know what Tristan's deck does. We're gonna have to wait for the commentary to start when the game starts for people that are watching us to find out. But if he does win the die roll, he'll be pretty favored, I assume. It just depends on what AA551 is playing. So, looking forward to it.
Of course. I mean, that's kind of how this meta is shaped up for the most part. There's definitely situations where that's not true, like if you draw some good hand traps like Gamma, Nibiru, stuff like that, but this format's definitely feeling pretty die rolly.
There's a lot of grindy matchups in this format, but also even the decks that do depend on the die roll a bit more. There are a lot of decision trees that you can take to decide what hand traps to play around and to feel more rewarded, I suppose.
Of
Deck
course,
building is also a big part of this format as well.
of
But
course,
yes, in a vacuum, die roll is pretty big.
of course. I mean, we see the grindier matchups being normally stuff like Synchro Eldritch and Pure Eldritch and stuff like that. Even in those matchups to where the games will typically last a little longer than one turn, um, it's still, you know, if you go first and you get your combo off, then you're just in a much more favored position than the other opponent will be. Of course, that also comes into deck building, like you said, building hand traps and stuff like that. I'm really excited to see this matchup every single time. Even when Tristan's playing like combo decks, it's still interesting to watch to see how he plays around hand traps and stuff like that.
Yeah, it will be definitely interesting to see what decision tree Tristan takes and his opponent for that matter. We still don't know what he's playing, but maybe he is playing something that requires that type of thinking.
Hmm.
I think they will start in a minute, so we should be able to commentate soon.
Right. There's actually been a lot of interesting decks in this tournament for sure.
Yeah,
It is a free tournament, so you do see some a little bit of unorthodox decks that you're not sure if that's actually going to be good or not. But there are I did see that Rokket deck from one of the feature matches yesterday,
all right, so
and that was
Tristan
definitely
won
a
the
very
rock,
interesting
paper,
combo.
scissors, and he's playing 60 cards, which makes it safe to assume he's playing a version of Dragon.
Yeah, and the Rocket deck is just so strong. Um, Especially when they end up winning and going
He
first.
starts with
They can
normal
play through
summon
multiple
Tracer. That's
cards.
a bit questionable. I think this means he doesn't have a free way to put two dragons on the field unless he has an extender or an Octavision. There we go.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most optimal normal summon, but if you have extenders, it's
This is
fine.
quite nice actually because of if his he goes uninterrupted, he'll be able to use LP to summon Brotar. And instead of searching Tracer, he'll be able to search. He'll be able to summon the Chaos Dragon Legionnaire and then end on his standard board as well as take one card out of his opponent's hand.
And hand looping is just so powerful, especially in today's meta where advantage is everything. And if he's going to be trying to break through whatever board Tristan makes, doing it with one less card is going to be so hard to do. We'll have to see what he's playing. We do see the Divine Lance hit the field, and we've seen this come up in previous Rocket decks, and this tech is definitely very interesting. Instead of the Dragon's Ravine, they search for the Divine Lance, which then goes ahead and equips a Phalanx from their deck to the Romulus, which then special summons itself. It's not just a level 2 dragon, so it's an LP target, but it's also a tuner, so it's a needle fiber target.
It's basically a Halki Fibrax before a Halki Fibrax, just to make Link Cross and then threaten a Herald, which forces out Nibiru. It's really, really important.
And we've seen this Metal Marcher combo in other decks such as Synchro Eldritch and Adamancipators, and this combo is just so potent because not only does it make a Herald before you end up committing to your Huckle Fibrax, but it also, as you see, he didn't actually make the Needle Fiber here, which means that he's going to make it with the Link Cross and one of these tuners that he summons, which is just going to be so potent.
Yeah, and something really nice about the this combo in the Dragon Link deck in specific is that it gives them a dragon, which is a free material for LP, which is really nice.
Of course. And when you see something like Chaos Space hit the field, you just realize that how many extenders this deck has just at its disposal ever since the release of the Toon Chaos set. It's just this card is really, really good for this set. He can just search Chaos Lebaneer from his deck. He doesn't even need to go for the Brotar combo. So he's just going to for sure do the hand loop thing here.
He searched Levianeer, which tells me that he probably has a baby dragon in his hand.
Yes. And we did see in one of the earlier feature matches that somebody summoned Vylon Cube, and if you guys didn't see what it did in that feature match, basically the new combo now is people are now using Vylon Cube and the Link Rise token to make Herald, and then after that, it searches Smoke Grenade. Now, if you guys don't know what Smoke Grenade does, in the OCG, Infernal Noble Knights will search this card and then pop it so they can hand loop, look at your opponent's hand, and take a card out of your opponent's hand. Now, Rockets do the same thing, but instead of using a Synchro to do it, they use Rocket Tracer to pop the Smoke Grenade, and then from there, you basically end up hand looping for two. You hand loop with one with the Levianeer, and then you get to look at your opponent's hand, see all of their card info, and then take one of their cards out of your opponent's hand. Really strong combo. I'm glad we get to see it again.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I remember talking about it to Tristan, and like when it was first brought up, it was kind of a joke, and then they realized that, oh wait, this is actually pretty good. Because not only does it hand loop your opponent, it gives them the choice to either scoop and not reveal their deck, which like increases the speed of the game, or when smoke grenade resolves, if they still think that they can break your board through smoke grenade resolving, it's going to tell you what the matchup is, which just helps you know what to interrupt, which is really good.
Yeah, of course. And if you scoop before they resolve a Smoke Grenade, then that means that they won't know what deck you're playing, and it'll make it harder for them to decide. But also, it's like the minstrel thing, like, if you've ever played against Mermail, there's a lot of people who will just scoop. I know I personally just decide to scoop against Mermail if they activate minstrel, just because I'd rather them not know what I'm playing and rather side for game 2. Um, it's basically the same concept with that as it is here. Just a super, super strong play, and now they can also hand tailor their board to whatever you got in your hand, just because they know that what you have in your hand, it's hand information.
Yeah, I mean, I think the board doesn't really change after smoke grenade resolves. The only decision is like, do they want to buster lock you or do they not? Essentially, I don't think anything else really matters or changes because of smoke grenade resolving, because they like the amount of boards the deck could make is very limited. Like you don't have space for something like IP Masquerade.
Of course, but even the small decision making of, do I bust or lock you, or do I just, end on the Savage plus Appaloosa comes up. So we'll just have to see
Correct.
how this, works with Tristan.
Here comes down the Union care. Oh wait, sorry, the Protector Whelp actually.
Yeah, we have to remember that Pitsy locks him to dragons, so he's gotta definitely bypass that dragon restriction before he can continue the combo.
Yep.
So here comes the first hand loop. This is very remnant of Danger Thunder back in the day when they used to loop 2 cards and then just make up a same board. I think it's the same concept, just when you come with the making boards, but the Rocket engine is just so consistent and so good at making boards, even through Nibiru's and hand traps and stuff.
Yeah, there we go. The scoop happened. As we said, he does not want to reveal the deck that he's playing, so we're just gonna go to game two. What do you think Tristan would assume his opponent is on here in order to side?
Well, it's pretty much just a mystery from here on. Unless he knows the player personally, I don't think that it was a 40 card deck. There was no information revealed. He didn't hand trap, so maybe he thinks that his opponent isn't playing a heavy amount of hand traps, but I don't think that there was enough to really make a good judgment on what his opponent's playing, so I think he just has to go in blind here.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. Although the Rocket deck in general has like a really powerful ability to just play through boards, even if it doesn't open any hand traps. There have been instances where I've seen Tristan break an entire rock board um, just using Rokket engine cards, which like is really scary. Of course, your hand has to be good, but it's just like good to know that the deck has the ability to do that because it means that if you have to be in a situation like this where you don't know what to site for, you can still rely on your actual engine to win the game.
I mean, when we're looking at cards like Chaos Dragon, Levianeer, some of the dragon support cards, dragons are just naturally strong. I think Konami likes to make really strong dragon types. So board making boards, whether it's most optimal thing in his build, it's still definitely possible just because of how the cards were designed.
Right, now we're gonna find out what his opponent is playing since he is going first this time. All right, it's Adamancipator.
All right, so it's met with
See,
the Imperm, which is definitely really good from Tristan. This could possibly just end the turn depending on if AA has any sort of follow-up play.
I mean, it depends on his build. I mean, he passed here, but it depends on his build. Like, he could have either had a block dragon and 3 earths in his hand, or oh wait, did Tristan just pass? So Tristan
Tristan
also
just
bricked.
passed. He
All
also
right,
That's really unfortunate for Tristan. We'll have to see if he has any more interruptions for a you
he
have
did
to think that if he
not.
passed and he had the Imperm here, that he probably has some more hand traps to help deal with whatever AA makes here, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree with that. There is no way you pass in this deck without having any form of interruptions, like hand traps. Because like the dragon deck is very consistent. All it needs to do is put 2 dragons on the field, and then just goes off. But Tristan just apparently doesn't have the ability to do that based on his hand, which means that he probably has hand traps.
And then we see a normal summon the blue egg Adamancipator Crystal Dragite. I'm not so sure about this card. We have seen it in this tournament quite a bit. It's not the worst rock monster because it definitely, it gives you extra advantage. It's an Adamancipator card, so you can use it to summon Seeker. But as far as rocks go, I do feel that there are better targets. But we have seen it a lot in this tournament. How do you feel about that card?
I definitely agree with what you're saying here. I feel like the card in itself is pretty lackluster. The only reason you would play it is, to have additional non-tuners you can hit off your tuners, but I feel like there are just better substitutes for that. We're
We
currently seeing
see
a very crazy chain link where Tristan is very adamant about negating the Gallant Granite. Double Cold by the Grave has been met with a Veiler, which is the third hand trap. It's
he also
quite
tried to
insane.
Lancia the Call by the Grape, which is just an insane chain link that's going on right here. I think it
Yeah, it
makes sense that
was.
he wants to make this Granite Galite not go through just because once they get Block Dragon, this game is very one-sided. Unfortunately, he does have the signs here. He also has opted to play signs in his build, which means that he's just going to pretty much have free reign to do whatever he wants here. I think it's unlikely that Tristan has 5 hand traps or 6 hand traps in his hand. We'll
Yeah,
just have to
especially
see.
with 60 cards, it's very unlikely to have that many hand traps.
If he has any hand traps, now would be the time to use it. If we saw like a Nibiru come down here, that would be really insane. But we'll just have to see if it comes down.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Tristan still has maybe one more hand trap because it seemed like his hand was that bad. But since the Nibiru didn't come down, I feel like it might just be a couple of dead spells, like World Legacy Guard Dragon, something.
Right. Really unfortunate opening for Tristan. He opened at least 4 hand traps here, which means that he was extremely prepared to deal with a really good Adamancipator hand, but unfortunately his opponent didn't draw a really good Adamancipator hand and just sort of drew
All right, here comes the
oh
other hand trap, Phantasme.
another
That
Phantasm.
gets met with Ash Blossom.
It's crazy.
Almost feels like a hand trap mirror.
It is.
Oh wait, the Ash Blossom has been negated by Cold by the Grave. Yep. So Phantasme resolves. The Ash still has been used, so it does not go back to AA5's hand. However, the Phantasme does get to resolve because of the Cold by the Grave.
And that's so good for Tristan because both of them forgot it, but um, at least chat and the judge and everybody else realize as well, because I didn't even see that. That's really good that Tristan can definitely get the possibility to get into another hand trap here.
That is true. We will also have to see what kind of extra deck AA5 is playing, because if he doesn't play a way to consistently get Block Dragon attached using Union Carrier, I don't know how much he can do with this game state right now. Might be able to give Tristan one more turn, and that might just be the turn Tristan needs to pop off.
Exactly, but we do also have to understand that this is a board. This is he is going second here. So Tristan has already passed turn, which means he can definitely attack. Which means if he has any sort of bigger Link 4, I know a lot of them don't play it. But if he has any sort of like bigger Link 4, he can definitely push for damage here. We do see him go into the
He's
Cyber
going
Spin
for
Generator.
the the Leonite. This guy's playing Beatrice, I think.
Beatrice? That'd be great. We'll just have
Yeah.
to see.
So yeah, the combo is like to overlay Raptite and Leonite into Beatrice, and then mill Block Dragon, and then go from there. I think that's what he's going to do. We'll have to see. That would be quite unique for an Adamancipator deck.
That I would.
Wonder how
He's
he gets
going
to
into
fit
the
all of these cards in
Beatrice.
his extra deck. Yep, here we go, Beatrice.
Whew.
Yeah, I remember vaguely watching this guy yesterday. Now, yeah, I just didn't recognize his name. It's crazy.
Well, he did have a way to go into Block Dragon, it just wasn't Union
There we
Carrier.
go. Yeah, should be game from here, to be honest.
Yeah, Block Dragon is just such an insanely powerful card. He can basically just summon back Block Dragon as much as he wants after he gets the triple search, adding 3 rock monsters from his deck to his hand. He's probably going to add in, I would say, a Seeker and Researcher. Probably, since he didn't actually summon the Researcher from his hand, he'll probably go into something like, um, the name escapes me, but it's the level 4 that special summons itself from its hand. It's
Gigantes, yeah.
Gigantus, yes, thank you.
He's also playing Nightmare Phoenix. This is quite an interesting Emancipator extra deck.
This whole build is definitely interesting. He's playing a lot of the turbo cards that you see coming out of Adamancipators, but he's also playing Signs and he's playing Dragite and he's playing Call by the Graves, which is a lot of players have opted out of playing those. So this is definitely a very interesting build, and of course the Beatrice.
Yeah, the Beatrice is something that has been basically unheard of this format. This is quite insane. Quite a good feature match for the last round of Swiss. Whoever
Right.
loses is out of this. It's quite intense. He's gonna go for the Gigantes. Standard rock stuff from here. He has, however, summoned Raptite already, so we'll see what Researcher will go into.
Right. He did search the Weeping Idol here, so making a level 8 synchro is not out of the question. But it does look like he's going into a Link here. Maybe
He's
he
going
goes
into
into Access Code?
Unicorn. Is he going into Access Code? Might be a shout. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing that in his extra deck. Yup, looks like he's going for Access Code. That will be game unless Tristan has Nibiru. There we go. Alright, we're going to game 3.
That was definitely a very interesting build. We'll have to see if he plays enough hand traps to stop Tristan's combo, and if Tristan can play through any hand traps, or if he's met with an interruption at all.
I mean, I did see a Ghost Ogre being excavated when he was using his tuners in game 2. But I think realistically speaking, his build isn't probably main decking any hand traps, which means that he has a 15 card side deck for hand traps and backer removal, which means that his numbers are probably quite low for a deck like Dragon Link, simply because the Dragon Link deck consistently plays through one hand trap. So AA551 definitely needs to see 2 hand traps in order to reliably feel safe through Tristan's deck, and that is assuming he knows how to hand trap Tristan's deck, which is
Rock,
unlikely.
Rocket is one of those weird decks that it's really hard to hand trap a deck like Rocket just because all the cards kind of extend into each other. It's not just the fiber that's the most important part of the deck. The fiber does get to your smoke grenade combo, which is really good, but it's not what makes the scary boards. What makes the scary boards is stuff like the dragons and LP and Romulus and pretty much all of the cards that make the deck as good as it is. Also, the field card is pretty good as well. They have some crazy extenders. The quick play spell card basically is a free Borreload Savage Dragon. They can do a lot.
That is true. We see the safe rate coming down and it resolved, which means that I think it is fair to assume that AA551 has not opened a Veiler or an Impermanence, because I think you'd rather use these cards on the starters of the Rocket deck. However, there is still a chance that he held them, so we just have to wait and see, I suppose.
Here
Is the
comes down
Romulus coming down?
Romulus.
It is resolving, so I think at this point it's pretty safe to assume that there are no hand traps unless it's a Nibiru, and at this point Tristan's safely placed through the Nibiru. He searched Dragon Ravine, which means he either drew Phalanx or already had Divine Lance in his hand.
Could also be possible that he's decided not to go for the Dragonlance because he has a way to summon another tuner. Maybe he's trying to play around a hand trap. We'll just have to see how that goes.
That would be possible as well. I believe he is using yeah, he is using Romulus's second effect, so he did draw the Phalanx, I think. Yep, there it comes. He's gonna do the standard combo from here, I think. We'll just have to wait and see if it's met with an Ibiru.
And I think him drawing the Phalanx here is actually better for him just because now he has the extra Dragon Ravine to help him gain extra advantage and just push through extra hand traps. Of course,
I
Dragon
mean,
Ravine.
yes, it definitely is helpful, I suppose, but that's simply because Tristan opened a playable hand and AA551 was unable to stop his very first plays, because if they were, then I think having the Phalanx might have been very harmful. And here comes down the Nibiru, so we'll have to see if Tristan can play through it, but I think it's safe to assume that he will be able to with Dragon Ravine in his hand.
Yeah, he definitely has an extendable hand here. He did search 2 of the field cards, which means that if he were to dump, let's say, the Rocket Searcher into the graveyard, he could definitely just special summon a Rocket from his hand using the Boot Sector launch, which is just a really strong combo. We'll just have to see what kind of a board he makes through the Nibiru.
Something quite unfortunate here is that Tristan was forced to banish his Starleaf Safert at the very beginning of the combo, which means that now he doesn't have the option to send Chaos Dragon Levianeer with Dragon's Ravine and then add it back with Safert, which would have been an extra dragon on the field, and it would have also been able to handle one card in the process. However, it does seem like he has an idea of what to do here, as he just activated Dragon's Ravine, discarding his own copy of Nibiru.
He must be very confident. If he's discarding Nibiru, then that means that he thinks that he doesn't need it for the following turn.
Or he
So
has a second Nibiru,
this is true.
whichever.
We're just waiting to see what he sends here.
Absoluter feels like the self-explanatory choice. At this point, Tristan's has 3 cards in hand after Absoluter resolves. I assume there will be a Tracer, a Boot Sector launch, and then an unknown card in his hand. I assume the unknown card has to be something that puts a dragon on the field just so that he can do combo, but he knows the deck better than I do, so maybe he knows what to do. Alright, he adds Recharger here.
Activating the Boot Sector launch to special summon a dragon from his hand. It is the Tracer.
It's
And
two Rocket Monsters.
here comes the fiber.
Alright, so if AA551 does not have any hand trap, Tristan will be able to play now. I don't think he has any access to the smoke grenade combo. However, he should still be able to establish the Buster Lock, which is honestly more than enough in this matchup.
Exactly. And when we were excavating in AA551's deck, I did not see any of the Tackle Crusader. Tackle Crusader is one of the ways that a lot of Adamancipator players have decided to try to use as a rock target so that they can play through stuff like Buster Lock and floodgates and stuff like that. So I wonder what he may be have in his hand to try to deal with something like a Buster Lock. Buster Lock is very potent versus Adamancipators.
Yep, it's a quite a good card. However, we have to also keep in mind that even if AA551 is playing Tackle Crusader in his deck, he will still need to be able to force the Borreload Savage Dragon first, which is like has quite a lot of attack points. So
And he
we'll
has
have to
to
wait
do
and see.
he has to do that without using his extra deck as well, and that's very, very hard considering that Adamancipators is a extra deck based strategy. So we'll have to see for sure.
Maybe he opened the God card combo of Dark Ruler No More plus Foolish Burial, and that outs his entire field, but we'll have to wait and see.
So Tristan is doing a standard Guard Dragon combo from here on out. He's got the LP and the Pitsty. LP will help him facilitate the combo even further. He'll be able to summon a dragon from his deck. He doesn't have any cards in hand for Brotar, so what he goes for here will probably just be something to net him advantage. What do you think he goes for here?
Black Metal Dragon. Yep, there we go.
And as you guys know, the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon did get an errata, so it now has a once per turn, a hard once per turn effect on its card. So you cannot spam Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon like you used to, but it's still a very good card and still something that you would definitely play in a deck like Dragon Link.
Yep, I mean, it has become more of a starter in the deck with Black Metal Dragon, simply because it puts two dragons on the field, which lets you. However, in situations like these where you have been hand trapped or have been forced to use the majority of your hand to do combo, being able to summon Black Metal Dragon if you haven't done that earlier in your turn is actually really useful because you are able to search a Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and then extend from there and put more dragon bodies on the field. Something very interesting here. He's making Brawl Sword Dragon. Um, he would have been able to make Appaloosa if he just linked off LP and Pisty into Delingerous. However, he opted to keep Pisty on the field, which means that he is going to use its effect, I think, to summon back Tracer. And then potentially Buster Lock his opponent, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and with the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon in his hand and the Pitsy on the field, he's going to be able to get 2 graveyard summons, probably net a total of 3 extra summons, not including the Tracer. So think it's safe to say that he will get Buster Luck with Warlord Savage here.
Yep, I think that's going to be Tristan's end board here, and I think that might just be enough.
What do you think AAA could possibly have to out the Buster Luck with a Savage Dragon?
I think it's impossible because, like, there are two ways to out that, unless he's playing Dark Ruler No More, in which case he will still need Dark Ruler No More and access to Tackle Crusader. So if he's playing Tackle Crusader, it might be doable, but something also important to note is that I think Tristan might equip the Buster lock to Boral Sword instead of Savage Dragon, which is infinitely harder to out in the Rock deck because Boral Sword cannot be destroyed by battle, and if you do end up trying to attack over it in some weird scenario, Boral Sword's effect allows a monster to go to defense position, and that effect cannot be responded to, which is really hard to deal with. However, we see that he's going for Carrier on Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon here, so he is not opting to do that play. And he's just going to Buster Lock him that way.
So he doesn't have any negations here, so if he actually decided to cite in any back row removal, which I don't think would have been correct, but if he did, it would be correct right now,
It's
he would
very
be
true.
able to out this board.
Something important to note here as well is that Tristan has absolutely no form of follow-up, and here comes Dark Ruler No More. So that's part one of the God card combo. Let's see if he has a way to out the Buster Lock. That he's stacking Boral Sword.
What if it evenly comes down here? That would be pretty insane.
Yep. End of
And the
battle phase,
battle phase.
evenly. Oh my god. I said this was impossible. I take it back. He plays Dark Ruler no more and evenly matched. Let's go.
Or Tristan. He has to keep the boot sector launch here, right? That's the oh.
That's I mean I don't understand it, but I guess I can see the reasoning. Starts with Seeker here. Seeker hits. Oh, wow. Okay, this might be game now. What a gamer. Yeah, I mean, yeah, not wrong. Not wrong. It's quite quite the Adamancipator deck. I think if there was any Adamancipator deck we wanted to feature on the bubble, this was the match.
Definitely. I mean, with just the interesting tech choices that he's decided to add into the deck that most people wouldn't play either. It's just really, really satisfying to see it not only do good, but beat one of the better combo decks and beat through what we thought was FDK versus Adamancipator. This is pretty good.
It's quite entertaining looking at this, not going to lie. I mean, Tristan's a friend of mine and I feel heartbroken for him, but this is really, really entertaining to watch. Raptite hits Analyzer. Raptite always hits Analyzer.
I think the funny thing too was that he decided to stack the Researcher on the top of his deck, but he ended up going for the Analyzer instead. Maybe he forgot that
I mean, I
Analyzer
think the reason he did that is because he had the Beatrice in mind. He was like, I can stack Researcher, summon Researcher, get a level 4, and then make Leonite, and then overlay for Beatrice.
Yeah, I think that might have been the thought process as well, but it's funny that he decided to not do that instead.
It's true. Alright, Tristan has admitted defeat, so this game is done. AA551 proceeds on with an X2 record, which might be enough for him to top. Unfortunately, Tristan Pugh, one of the best players in the online format so far, has been knocked out of this tournament with an X3 record after Swiss. I guess we'll see you guys in Top Cut if we don't find a backup feature match to stream.
What a
So
feature
see you
match.
guys.